So we were going to go see Infinity War on Sunday, last Sunday.
Yes.
And Kathy texted me on that Friday before we saw Infinity War. And she texted me, she's like, God damn it. I read a spoiler on Facebook and it ruined the ending for me. And I'm like, fuck, because this always happens with like Westworld and stuff.
Why did she do that?
She accidentally did it. So we go to the movie and
do you know at this point or no?
No, I was like, don't fucking tell me what the spoiler was.
Oh, I thought you were going to say like when she knows, then I automatically somehow get no.
No, she didn't. I told her not to tell me.
Okay.
So the movie's over. We're walking out of the theater and she's like, so that spoiler that I read wasn't true. And I was like, what was the spoiler? And she goes, I don't want to tell you. I think it's really stupid. And I was like, no, you got to tell me now. Yeah. And she said that the spoiler was that Batman dies at the end. And she thought that was legit. She thought there was like a crossover, like a DC Marvel crossover.
That's what? There are no way in any of the movies led up to be like DC crossover. Unless she thought like Thanos was Darkseid or something. Which is possible.
She could have thought Black Panther was Batman. But we saw that in theaters and it wasn't anything like the origin story to Batman.
Wicked smart, wicked cool, wicked fucking stupid, whatever the fuck. Something wicked.
I'm baking like a toasted teaser. It's so hot here.
My boy's wicked smart.
Cause the boy is hotter than hot. He's hot.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
So, Kevin, Avengers had the best opening weekend of all time. And honestly, I'm not that surprised.
No. With all the hype behind it did. I will say it did live up to the hype, but with all the hype, I can't imagine why it hadn't hit $1 billion opening weekend. It's kind of weak.
If you make less than $1 billion, you basically don't exist.
Yeah, if you take a week to make $1 billion, you're a punk bitch.
Yeah, seriously. Well, welcome everyone. Another episode of Wicked Hot with Kevin and John. So this week, like we said, Avengers had the best opening weekend of all time. Well, we wanted to kind of honor that. And no, we're not going to talk about movies that are made the most money on their opening weekends, but rather we're going to do a little spin on it in Wicked Hot fashion, and we're going to focus on the best opening scenes in movies. Now, you're wondering probably why I didn't say the Instagram, because we didn't post something on the Instagram related to this. But we did have a winner for our t-shirt contest, which was...
the winner was, on Twitter, Robert Stevens. So...
Sweet.
That motherfucker's getting a free shirt.
Yeah. Has he reached out to you on what he wants yet or no?
No, not yet. Mainly because I haven't announced that he has won, So
yeah, Kevin, what are your thoughts on this week doing best opening scenes in movies? Because I'm pretty excited for it.
I'm really excited. And when we were talking about doing this, I thought of like 20 movies, and it was really hard to narrow it down to 4 each. Yeah,
it really is. And honestly, I don't know. I almost don't want to say like best opening scenes in movies. I want to say our favorites.
Yeah, definitely our favorites.
I feel like we can't even say our favorites either, because I'm just like our favorites from what I could think of like on the moment.
Yeah. I'm sure if I see a movie that I loved in like 10 years ago and I see the intro, I'm like, fuck, that's the best intro.
Yeah.
How did I not remember that? I spent this whole week sitting there thinking of what movies have I seen? And that's a lot. And I'm just sitting there like, have I seen this movie? What's the intro? How does it go? So it was a lot. I didn't think it was going to be as much work as it was.
So you know how you always say I remember like ridiculous details from like not very popular movies. So this was kind of easy for me because
fuck you.
I basically went on like a molecular level of just knowledge just being thrown around everywhere, and I was just like, okay, think of 4. The only problem was for me is I had to continuously. I would think of a new one. I'm like, fuck, I like that intro. which one should I replace? And then thus I have my 4 now.
Yeah, so your 4 is like the top of the top. Mine is like what I could think of. And granted, mine are really good, but mine were a chore to figure out. I actually spent the last like 20 minutes before we started the podcast rewatching one, and I just got like sucked into watching the movie. And I was like, oh fuck, we gotta start the podcast.
Right now I'm looking on my outline, and my first movie, and I'm just going to throw it out there because it's not my first movie, but I put Lord of War that was replaced, and I completely forgot to replace it. And it's funny because I never thought anything with Nicolas Cage would ever be like, yeah, that was my favorite something of something.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of any type of genre or subgenre where I could be like, oh, that's my favorite something something with Nicolas Cage. But no, I can't.
Seriously. Okay. Well, my actual first one is Austin Powers Goldmember.
The most forgettable
Which
Austin
is-
Powers movie.
I wouldn't say that. It has, come on. Can we paint this Yoho gold? But yeah, so Goldmember, if you don't remember the intro, boy, you need to do yourself a favor and watch the 2-part video intro, which basically opens up like a fucking James Bond movie. It's just like car chases, helicopters, machine guns, very serious music. And then Austin Powers is driving his car and he's shooting people, except at the end, when it shows Austin Powers, it is none other than Tom fucking Cruise saying, yeah, baby.
That was so unexpected.
It really was. I remember watching that when I was in middle school. Yeah. Like 6th grade, I think.
Yeah.
And I was like, Tom Cruise, what the fuck? Because it's like, that's pretty big to have Tom Cruise.
Oh, yeah.
back. I mean, I still think it's pretty big to have Tom Cruise in it even today.
I think so. Yeah, it was a crazy when I rewatched it. You didn't know? I didn't remember. I didn't remember anything, so I rewatched it and I was like, "Oh, they're not showing his face because it's a stunt double."
Right.
And then when it like pans up to him, I'm like, "Oh shit, yeah!" And then it
immediately clicked.
Yeah, it clicked.
Yeah, and then this other like a Bond girl shows up, and it's like Gwyneth Paltrow, back before she was like really like out of the closet crazy. So
What
it's
was
still
her
like
name
kind
in
of cool,
the
like
movie?
Dixie Normus.
Dixie
Like
Normus.
So you had that plus like the ridiculous Austin Powers stuff, but out of Tom Cruise's mouth. Gwyneth Paltrow's in it, and then they start kissing, and then it goes to, "Hey Powers, you better watch your friggin' self." like it's Kevin Spacey. I know we're not supposed to talk about Kevin Spacey anymore, but he was in this as Dr. Evil, and it was fucking fantastic. And then he's like,
it's like the intro that keeps on giving. Like when you first see it, you're like, "Oh shit, Tom Cruise," and then you're like, "Oh shit, Gwyneth Paltrow," and then it's like, "Oh shit, Kevin Spacey." It just keeps going and going. You're like, "What is this?"
It seriously does. And then it ends with my favorite part of the entire first scene.
Hands down.
1000% before he was Frank Reynolds. It's, "Isn't that right, Mini-Me?" He's like, "Hey, asshole, I'm Mini-Me. Come and get me." Is fucking Danny DeVito as Mini-Me, which is hilarious because he's smoking a fucking cigar. And it's just like clearly like not like Mini-Me. It's just fucking Danny DeVito, huge Danny DeVito.
I know when I was rewatching that back, I didn't remember the Dr. Evil part. And when they went to Dr. Evil and it was Kevin Spacey, I was like, who the fuck did they get to play Mini-Me? Who is as short as Mini-Me? And I immediately thought Danny DeVito. And when it panned to him, I fucking lost it.
Yeah, so that, and then it all ends with cut, and it's the movie's called Austin Pussy. And then it cuts, and then Steven Spielberg turns around. Fucking Steven Spielberg is in the first scene, and he's like, "What'd you think, Austin?" And he's like, "It's groovy, baby." And then he's like, "But there's some things I could fix." And then Steven Spielberg like pulls out his Oscar. He's like, "Well, my friend says everything looks fine." So it's just like perfect. It's just hilarious. And he's like, "You just gotta have some mojo." And then there's an entire dance routine, which is hilarious because it reminds me of basically every other Austin Powers opening. So we got that fucking hilarious, ridiculous Austin Powers opening, and then the same music, an amazing dance number with Britney Spears. Britney Spears is in it, and she's a fembot with the machine gun nipples, and then Austin Powers is way too sexy, and she blows up, and it's legitimately one of my favorite opening scenes in any movie. And I'm almost feeling like that one's hard to beat. Like the way I explained that, I feel like a lot of people may be like, "Damn, that does sound good, and I'm going to watch it." If you're an Austin Powers fan, which obviously everyone who like grew up in the 90s is, I would think.
Yeah, I've never met anybody who says that they hate Austin Powers, and if you do, there's something wrong. But yeah, you get the crazy intro, but you also get the Austin Powers intro at the end. So you get like a twofer. You get a double intro.
Yeah,
hilarious, both hilarious.
No, definitely. So also, Kevin, I know your next movie, basically, it's hard to transition from this movie to Kevin's next movie, but I'm just going to hand it off to him because there's no way you could ever associate Austin Powers with.
Yeah, mine is, I picked this one because I really wanted to see how you're going to transition. But it's There Will Be Blood with Daniel Day-Lewis. So this is one of the weirdest, greatest, most dramatic intros I've probably ever seen.
Okay.
So if you haven't seen the movie, it's a great movie. It's a Daniel Day-Lewis movie. Like that's all I pretty much have to say. So the intro is Daniel Day-Lewis basically starting an oil well. And
yes,
so much shit happens in this intro scene. Like the guy has a bad time. So it's just him in this oil well. He sticks some dynamite into the rock and then climbs out. And as he's pulling his tools out, they fall and he accidentally blows all of his tools up. He has nothing else. And then when he's going back down to check the damage, he falls and breaks his leg.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, so they finally figure out that there's oil down here. This is all within like a 15-minute opening scene. Like this opening scene is long.
But it's spanning time.
Yeah, it spans about 9 years by the time the movie actually starts.
Okay.
So there's so much shit that happens. Like this guy, he actually gets the oil, and like right when everything's looking up, somebody gets crushed by a falling log who happens to have a young baby.
And log? I thought they were in a fucking oil mine.
Yeah, they're in an oil mine, but there's pulleys above the mine.
Oh.
And it breaks, and the log falls down and smashes the guy.
Where was this tree in this fucking mine? It just.
So Daniel Day-Lewis like adopts this kid and basically trains him to be his wingman, sidekick, salesman. And by the way, like nobody talks in the first 15 minutes of the movie. There's not a fucking word of dialogue.
Wait, is it silent?
No, just nobody talks. Like there's noises happening, but it's just like
okay.
It was done so well that it was like I don't think I've ever seen a movie like that. Like maybe Children of Men has a scene like that, but that no talking for 15 minutes, that's crazy.
That sounds like a Daniel Day-Lewis movie.
Yeah, so it finally comes in with the first line of dialogue where he says, as he tells everybody throughout the movie that he is an oil man, constantly, he starts the movie with that. And it's just fitting that he says that probably 100 times throughout the movie. And I didn't catch it until I rewatched it this last time. It's like he starts the movie with that. And that's like his tagline throughout the entire movie. I'm an oil man. That's how he introduces himself.
That's the first line of dialogue.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, he's trying to sell a town, like get a leasing rights for a mine in a town. He's trying to
That's the
sell
whole
it. He's like,
movie.
I'm an oil man. And then he says this to everybody he ever meets. He's like, I'm Daniel Plainview. I'm an oil man. Like, I know, Daniel. You live across the street.
I remember how he says, dude, he's like, I am an oil man.
Yeah, he has like a crazy American, like, you know how the early 1900s, late 1800s Americans talked? Like, he fucking nails that accent. He did it in Gangs of New York, too.
Yeah, he did like the precursor New York accent, which no one has ever heard, and yet he knew how to do it.
Yeah.
I'm convinced Daniel Day-Lewis is a time traveler, and he literally method acts in probably. I would give him. I think he like probably method acts for like 2 years in the past.
Well,
Why do you think we have such sparse movies with him? Because he's
that's
method
true.
acting.
He's being that character for 2 years. He's got to try it out first.
Yeah,
So as
that's not a bad theory. It's not
No.
a bad theory.
as I'm watching this movie, I'm just like, Daniel Day-Lewis is Daniel Plainview. Like, that's every Daniel Day-Lewis movie. It just like leaves my mind. It's like I'm immersed in this.
Well, so Daniel Day-Lewis was in a Scorsese movie, and Scorsese also directed another movie that deals with gangs, like gangs in New York, except it's not in New York. It's in Boston, and it's The Departed. I actually forgot about this movie's intro and how much it makes me laugh because we get a glimpse of Jack Nicholson's character, and he is electric. Yeah, it opens up with that amazing quote when he's like, I don't want to be a product of my environment. I want my environment to be a product of me. And then,
That's deep.
yeah. And then he basically, he goes into, we see how disgusting he is,
Yeah.
but he's also like pretty charismatic. And then, yeah. So after he says that line, we have Rolling Stones opening, Gimme Shelter. playing
That's
in the
honestly
background.
one of my top 3 songs ever. I fucking
Yeah.
love that song.
So I don't know if you know this, but fun fact, it's actually Martin Scorsese's unofficial gangster theme. They play Rolling Stones in Goodfellas, in Departed, and in Casino.
I think he has a Rolling Stones song, not just that song, but a Rolling Stones song in every movie except one that he's ever done.
Yes, I think that's correct. And also I think he in the movie, in The Departed, there's actually a scene where he gives the shrink girl a tape, and in the tape is inside a Rolling Stones like CD
Oh, okay.
case.
Little Easter egg.
Little Easter egg, exactly. But anyway, so we get a glimpse of Jack Nicholson, and he's really creepy, and he asks a girl if she got her period yet, and and he says like, go buy yourself some makeup, like really fucking like misogynistic shit. And then also he's just gross. He's just a horrible human being.
Yeah, and the kid looks like
Exactly. Matt-
like Matt Damon.
So much like Matt Damon.
Yeah, like it's crazy.
Also kind of interesting thing. I know it's not like funny stuff, but Nicholson says the James Joyce line, non serviam, basically means I will not serve. And it's actually when he's talking about the church, he's like, kneel, stand. If that's your thing, I don't know what to do for you. When he's talking about that,
Yeah.
that's actually associated with Lucifer, that saying.
Oh, really?
So it's like Danny DeVito. It's like Jack Nicholson is the devil, essentially, because he's like, influencing like a young kid who's like nice, and he's bringing him over to the dark side. And then my favorite thing about the entire opening is when he says, when I was your age, they would say we could become cops or criminals. Today, what I'm saying to you is this: when you're facing a loaded gun, what's the difference? And
so deep. All of
I
his
know.
shit, everything he says is like very meaningful. It's nothing is ever said in passing with him.
yeah, but Jack, it's just like one of those good Scorsese openings. Like, I love Goodfellas. I hate Casino's opening. Casino's opening is fucking so stupid. I can't stand it.
I don't like
Like that-
Casino's opening, but I really like Casino.
I was watching it because I remember I watched the opening and I'm like, I know it has that really stupid, horrific, quick cut from the bomb exploding in his
Yeah.
car, where it's just clearly Robert De Niro turning into a mannequin.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I think this, and I may get hate for that, but I think The Departed it teeters on almost being as good as the Goodfellas opening.
I think Goodfellas is better, but in Departed is like my rotating top 3 movies of all time. Like
I know.
It's so good. I honestly can't hate on one aspect of the movie. And the intro it does a great job of showing you how crazy or weird Jack Nicholson's character is.
Yeah. And it really, you kind of get like basically like a somewhat history of Boston through his eyes.
Yeah.
And he is like, in a way, we kind of see him age from when he grew up. Like he's talking about like an Irishman couldn't get a job, and then we had the presidency 20 years later, and then he's talking about like kind of being brought up in the streets and whatnot.
Yeah.
But it's pretty crazy, man. So I think the way Scorsese put all that together, it's so solid. It's like it's hard to like not like any part of, because it's like a new spin on Goodfellas, I think.
Yeah, I definitely think it's like an upgraded version of Goodfellas. And it tells a different story. It's Goodfellas and Departed are like my always constant top 5.
No, I know it's hard. It's hard to not include them. Departed, honestly, it might sound weird, but this like it brings me up. Anytime it comes on TV, I mean, we talked about it, we get sunk into it. Your next movie, even though it's just the complete opposite, it brings me so down.
Yeah. Fuck. Yeah, mine is Up, the movie Up, the Pixar movie. Awesome transition, by the way.
Thank you.
So I rewatched this. I remember the intro, but I wanted it to be very fresh, so I watched it at work. And that was a mistake. Because like I watched it, and Up has one of the most devastating opening scenes ever made.
Seriously.
So I'm watching it at work, like right when I got in the morning, and I'm like on the verge of like tears just flowing out of my eyes. And then I get like, I have people talking to me. I'm getting a phone call. I'm like, oh shit, I really gotta focus here. I should not have done this.
Oh my god.
So we get the whole.
At least you have glasses,
Yeah.
because like you can at least say, "Oh, I put eye drops," because I have fucked up eyes.
Yeah,
Oh,
people
man.
without glasses don't know that glasses doesn't mean your eyes are completely fucked.
Yeah.
So you get like the whole them meeting the old man and his wife from when they were little kids, basically before high school, so not even high school sweethearts, like little kid sweethearts, and up until when they get married, and then they have these big plans to go to, I think it's Venezuela or something, like at the top of a mountain or in Venezuela or something like that.
Okay. Yeah.
And they're aging, and he buys the tickets for Venezuela, and the next scene is like her in the hospital bed.
Oh god.
And I'm
like
like-
getting
I'm like, breathe. Oh, God. And so like,
Dude, by the way, and Michael Giacchino's score does not help in the least.
it really hits you right in the heart.
It seriously does.
So he has this infatuation with balloons like the whole movie. So like at one point she's laying in the hospital bed and he like floats a balloon over to her. And I'm just trying to keep it together. And the next scene is like he wakes up, he's alone. It's fucking devastating because she dies and this guy has to go on living his life. He's old as fuck too. So like he doesn't even know how long he's got. He could have 10 years. He could have 6 months. He doesn't know. So it's
I love hearing you describe this movie right now.
Trying to put an adult spin on a very childlike movie. It's really hard. Because I'm getting choked up thinking about it right now.
Seriously, you're bringing. I'm sure everyone is crying right now because they're like, "Fuck, I remember that scene." God damn.
Yeah. So I have only seen that movie once up until today when I rewatched the intro.
And you're like, "That's why I will never watch." This
Yeah,
fucking-"
that's why I remembered I never watched it again, because the intro, and it does it does have a happy ending. It does kind of work itself out. But man, you're really feeling like shit after the first 5 minutes of the movie.
Yeah, seriously. And I know he had the kid who was an explorer or something.
Yeah, he was like a
right?
Boy Scout or something.
A Boy Scout. Interesting. Because my next movie also happens to deal with the opening involving Boy Scouts, which sounds so fucking gay. I also have Boy Scouts in my movie. But yeah, so my next movie is Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, as one of the best openings, which is, I'm sure I'm going to get hate for picking Last Crusade over Raiders of the Lost Ark. But honestly, the opening scene may be less... The opening scene of Last Crusade may be less iconic than the boulder in Raiders of the Lost Ark. But I think it's the best opening and overall best Indiana Jones movie. Just my 2 cents.
I don't know about that.
Okay, that's fine. So if you don't remember the opening to Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, that's okay, because I'm going to get you to remember it and get you to be like, yes, that's the best one. Yeah, so basically we open the movie with a bunch of Boy Scouts wandering around the Arches National Park in Utah. You have no idea who they are. You don't know what it has to do with Indiana Jones, but you're kind of intrigued. They tell the kids to go explore or whatever. So there's 2 kids enter a cave. You hear digging. You see a guy in a leather jacket and the iconic Indiana Jones fedora. And then we see this scene. And I always think Spielberg wanted you to think that the guy in the Indiana Jones costume basically is Indiana Jones.
It's like a knockoff
Indiana
dollar
Jones.
store Indiana Jones.
Yeah. And these kids, stumbled upon him doing his whole, I'm going through digging and stuff. So you just assume, you're like, oh, these kids are witnessing Indiana Jones. And then they show his face. He's definitely not Indiana Jones, but the other kid, that isn't River Phoenix, keeps saying Indy, 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 to which the actual Indiana Jones, which is River Phoenix, shushes him. And its entire opening scene, even though it's not like a true origin, I guess, to how Indiana Jones is, but I feel like we get a good understanding of who he becomes.
Yeah, definitely. Especially because he fucks it up in the intro, just like he almost fucks up pretty much everything.
Exactly. I just love that we get this fucking amazing chase scene and see the evolution of what makes Indiana Jones afraid of snakes, what makes him use the whip, the fedora, all that stuff. So, and I just it literally changes from one thing to the other, because when they're in the cave, there's a snake on the little fat kid, and he picks up the snake and he says, it's just a snake.
Yeah.
And he just throws it,
tosses it away.
Yeah, tosses it away. But then he falls in the reptile cage in the circus train, and he's in a pit of fucking snakes, and he's like, oh fuck. And then he goes in the water, and it's a fucking anaconda that pops out of the water, and which is not a safe way to keep a deadly ass snake like that. How do you the guy's just all right, let me go get the snake and try not to get fucking bit under the water.
Yeah, let me just reach my hand in here, try and grab the snake.
So yeah, he's surrounded by a pit of snakes. He hates snakes at this point. And also the opening score, again, John Williams, so good. It has it has such a John Williams feel. Just it's just it just feels like a Spielberg movie. It feels like just John Williams' amazing score. I I will say the only thing I don't like about this scene is the continuity issue for them being like in like a legit desert with like valleys and caverns to just an open plains.
It's like plains, high desert. I grew up in Arizona, and if you're not familiar with desert, like the opening scene is like hardcore Arizona desert, and the next scene is like eastern Arizona high desert.
I wouldn't even say that. I would say that's like fucking Flagstaff, like on the way to Flagstaff.
Yeah, borderline Flagstaff. Yeah.
So, which
that's a little annoying, and then it turns into like forest very quickly.
Yeah, but then it goes back to desert when he goes to his house, when he like runs to his house, like to tell his dad that he gets like the cross. And this is the best part is after all of this, he thinks he got away, and the like grave robbers or whatever, they show up, and then the sheriff shows up and he's like, yeah, this is their guy's property, give it to him. And he's like, well, no, it belongs in a museum, which he says it so many times. And then one of the guy who dresses as Indiana Jones tells him like he lost today, but that doesn't mean he has to like it. And then he puts the hat on him, and it just transitions from young Indiana Jones to adult Indiana Jones, and then continues that same storyline for like that little mini intro is so good.
What's with the guy just blasting the trumpet driving down the street?
That's the kid that was with him.
It's like it was, yeah.
He's like, I got the sheriff.
That's funny. I can relate. I can relate to this because there's a fucking kid that plays the trumpet one note across the street from me. I know what these people feel like. It's the worst.
He just laughs it out of his face too.
Yeah, the transition scene is like perfect. The intro scene really nails like the Indiana Jones personality. Although I don't think the young character looks anything like Harrison Ford at all.
Not at all.
But yeah, the in transition scene is like perfectly done, especially for that like time period, like when they shot this movie.
Right.
It's very well done.
Yeah. And it's just like another just Spielberg amazingness. And again, when like the transition from River Phoenix to Harrison Ford with like the music, it's like dun 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 dun, dun slow, and then it like gets back to like its normal thing, like he's Indiana Jones now, and then like boom, we're entering the movie.
Yeah.
Like it's just nice to have like, oh, this is how he was when he was a kid, and then he's just becoming like the character we love.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, no, I'm a huge fan of this one.
It is a great intro. You changed my mind. This is a great intro.
Okay. I know it's not as iconic with the boulder, but it's still like a good, I feel like it could be a short story in itself. Like
Definitely.
Nowadays that would have been like a YouTube like fan, like really well made fan video where it's like Origin of Indiana Jones in like 8 minutes or whatever.
Yeah. I'm still thinking Pixar. I'm thinking like it's, the little pre-Pixar movie before the movie. It's like one of those.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that. That's a good way to put it. Yeah. Recently at work, somebody's been calling me like Jonathan with an O at the end. So THON. And it's like Jonathan. And now my boss and I have made this joke where I'm like, I am Jonathan, son of Odin, which funny enough is who's your next movie?
Yeah. Thor Ragnarok. I'll just blast right in with it. So this...
You blast Mjolnir right in there.
I went into this movie thinking that it was going to be more of the Dark World, Thor the Dark World. And as soon as it started, I'm not going to lie, I did not like the first like 10 seconds up until the reveal. So you get...
What do you mean?
You get the exposition from Thor like as a narrator. And when he starts talking, I'm like, God damn it, they ruined this movie. Because I thought like he was narrating the...
Oh, you thought it was like supposed to be like serious?
Yes.
Okay.
So then you get to the reveal that he's in this cage and he's talking to a fucking skeleton that has the best comedic timing I've ever seen.
The skeleton really has the best comedic timing.
As soon as Thor stops talking, the guy's jaw falls off. And that's kind of when the hilarity starts, as well as the action. Because
Yes.
Thor gets dropped out of the cage by the chain. And I can't even remember the villain's name.
It's Surtur. Because you can't really say that name without sounding like an idiot in like an American accent, like Surtur.
Surtur.
It's Surtur.
Yeah, yeah.
It sounds like it sounds like I'm saying like Soto, but like Surtur.
You sound like you're really drunk trying to say soda.
Surtur.
So we get the confrontation between Thor and the villain.
And Surtur.
And still at this point, I'm kind of iffy on the movie.
Yeah.
And then I notice that Thor is spinning, and I'm thinking, like, what are they going to do with him? Are they just going to, like, cut to a different shot where he's not spinning anymore? And no, they don't at all. He basically stops the villain, like, mid-speech and says, like, oh, wait. And then it just continues to just turn around as he's hanging from a cage.
Yes.
It's hilarious. And he finally comes back around, and the guy continues his story about how Ragnarok has started and basically tells Thor exactly how to kill him.
Right.
And then, like, right when this happens, he turns around again. The guy has to pause again. And then I knew, like, what kind of movie it was going to be, and I was like, all right, this might be something good.
Yeah. I mean, we've said this time and again. Taika Waititi saved Thor, and Thor is probably the best character in the MCU right now, and it has the most growth. Because I never really was a fan of Thor. Even the first one I thought was kind of shit.
It was whatever. I liked it, but I didn't. It wasn't anywhere near my top. Yeah, it wasn't anywhere near my top.
Yeah, for sure. This is a great opening.
So then
the action is fucking cool.
The action is cool, and then you get the song.
The song, yeah. Isn't it the immigrant song? It's called Immigration.
Yeah, Immigrant Song by Led Zeppelin. And I know Led Zeppelin doesn't really ever allow their songs to be used in movies very often.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So
also they replay that song, and again, we've talked about it. One of the, aside from like the Hela stuff, another cinematography majesty, which is when Thor gets his lightning powers and fucking is coming down like the god that he is, about to fucking destroy some of those fucking undead soldiers, which is beautiful. It's a shot that should be a painting, like on a wall.
The song is used perfectly in both scenes. The intro scene, I fucking love the use of this song, and the action during this is insane.
It's funny,
For an
but it's
opening
also
scene.
really, really cool, because when he's like just spinning the fucking hammer and he's just knocking people left and right.
Yeah. And then he's calling for, that's another thing that I like. Scourge is showing these women his
guns. His
I didn't
M16.
notice this. I just watched Thor Ragnarok again a couple days ago.
Yeah.
And I didn't notice all the shit that was in his pile. So he says to the women, like, you can have whatever you want. And he has a pile of just what looks like trash. But it's like a like a Vespa scooter. There's like a stupid painting there, and then he's got the shake weight that he's
The shake weight. Yeah.
hilarious, and he's not paying attention to the Bifrost, and Thor has to fight all of these motherfuckers by himself.
Yeah.
And you get that scene where Thor just like sets his hammer down on the dragon, and just the dragon can't move.
Yeah.
So that's a great scene. And then you get the best ending for the opening, where the Bifrost finally sucks Thor off, pretty much without.
The Bifrost is not a person.
The Bifrost sucks off Thor, and as well as the head of the dragon. So the dragon just like spews yellow and blue blood everywhere, like a Tide Pod or something,
Yeah.
all over the
And
women. It's
I
so
love when
good.
it slides all the way to them, and then the eyeball just rolls
Yeah.
towards them, and then that's where it was like, no, that is enough. Yeah, Scourge, the Executioner, is hilarious in that movie.
Yeah, that's honestly easily one of. I'm not gonna say one of. It's the best Marvel opening ever.
Yeah, you know what? I don't know if I.
What was
can
Infinity
argue with
War's
that.
opening scene?
Oh,
Oh,
Infinity's-
okay. Okay. Whew.
Yeah, yeah,
That's tough.
yeah.
I still think Thor Ragnarok has a better opening scene, but Infinity War has a really good opening scene.
Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1 and 2, honestly.
Fuck. What's one again? I know two.
One is fuck. I'm thinking of the title card part. Because the one opening scene is where with him and the mom.
That's where his mom dies, right?
Yeah,
Fucking
so not
sick
the
fuck.
best.
God.
So volume 2 then.
Volume 2, god damn.
With
yeah.
Groot dancing and then like the whole battle going on in the background.
And then Drax fucking jumping into the
Yeah.
thing to try and cut it from the inside.
Yeah. Or no, when he falls in front of Groot and he's dancing, and Groot just like stops until he like gets up and then.
So
Oh,
mine turned
God.
into partially Thor Ragnarok, partially Guardians 2.
As always.
Which are both, like it wouldn't be a Wicked Hot episode if Star Wars, Harry Potter, or Guardians was not mentioned.
At this point, honestly, it's mostly Guardians. We've been sucking off Guardians hard.
Yeah, we have. I'm not mad at it though.
No, I'm not mad at it either. I can never be mad at it. So yeah, so yours was a comic book movie. Mine is also a comic book movie. And this one's just for me, I mean, it's my final one, but it's just a fun one. And it's funny because I'm not a fan of this movie at all, but it's one of my top opening scenes, and that's for Watchmen. The movie Watchmen,
Fuck.
directed
Watchmen.
by Zack Snyder. Fuck Watchmen, but I'm not talking about the fight either with the comedian where he dies, but of the actual opening credits. So it's seriously one of the most beautiful things to look at. And I actually remember the period where Zack Snyder was still considered groundbreaking and edgy. Do you remember that?
I do remember that. And I will say that this is a visual masterpiece.
Yeah.
It's so good.
I love the way. Well, first of all, we get to see the history of the actual characters in the opening credits, basically.
Right.
Golden age of vigilante heroes, and they get older, new heroes come up, and then they're kind of fall, plus like what's going on in the universe that they're in.
Yeah.
And
It's crazy some of the
What-
differences, like some of the subtle differences that are in this universe that they show in this intro scene.
seriously, so but anything that shows stylized pieces of history and the interaction with those events, I just eat it up. Like, and then just the way that like it looked like art. It was like still images, but like animated, like especially like in the beginning, it was like very like old timey comics
Yeah.
with like they still had like the ridiculous costumes. They had like the like typical robber looking people.
Yeah.
And it just looked so nice, and with like the camera flashes, it just
One thing I
is-
noticed about it, as the time changes in the montage, the quality of the shot changes,
yeah.
which is a very subtle change. Like, it's a crazy subtle change that
Right.
he didn't have to do, but it's just like the fact that it's there is like, I can really appreciate that.
Right. I feel like Zack Snyder probably would have been a better cinematographer for certain types of movies,
Right.
because he has a really nice style when it isn't. I mean, it's definitely like overdone now, but I think especially with the opening credits, just it just looks so nice. Also, by the way, fun fact: Batman actually makes an appearance in the first frame of the movie.
Really?
Yeah, he's in a poster of Batman issue number 1, and it can also And it's the part where Night Owl is actually punching a gunman. And some
Oh, okay.
people like theorize that Night Owl defeats a gunman behind a theater with two rich people in the background. What does that sound like?
That sounds like
Thomas and Martha
Batman.
fucking Wayne. Yeah. So funny enough, they say that this actually is a way that Batman never became Batman in this universe because Watchmen is part of the DC universe.
Oh yeah, it is, isn't it?
Yep.
So in this alternate universe, he saves Bruce Wayne's parents.
Right.
Huh. Again,
Isn't that
another
crazy?
interesting take
Yeah.
on.
Yeah. And honestly, anything that opens the credits with Bob Dylan is certainly a win because I hate Bob Dylan. And this actually made
That's
me
funny.
appreciate the song.
That's very funny. I forgot watching this that I hated Bob Dylan,
Yeah.
which is you're right. It's a win.
Yeah, it really is. But yeah, I not a good movie, but the opening, the way it's all made is honestly really flawless. Like I don't
Yeah.
have any problems about it.
Yeah. Again, being like the post-production nerd that I am, I'm just looking at the actual credits, like the words. I'm like, damn, I love how they fucking animated those words. And I'm just thinking about the process that went into that. Like, that is a nice touch to the super slow-mo artistic look. It's like a perfect touch to it.
Yeah, it's very like pulp art looking.
Yes.
So yeah, like I said, the Night Owl defeats the gunman, which happens to be related to your next movie.
Yeah, so if we don't have Batman, we don't have the Joker, and we don't have the
Yeah.
Dark Knight.
No, we don't.
So yeah, I saved this one for last because I feel like this was a gimme. Because
really
it's
was.
it's easily the best scene ever, the best opening scene ever. There's not even a debate whether it's the best scene ever.
It's so funny because I'm pretty sure we've said that in the podcast.
I think we
before.
have, yeah.
Like I don't think we have not said it.
I just
So,
wanted to have another jerk off sesh over the opening of The Dark Knight.
we've serviced everyone else. We might as well keep going.
So this is not only is it one of the best opening scenes ever, because like I really hate when superhero movies in particular don't reveal the villain until halfway through or more into the movie.
You got to start with the villain. I feel. Yep.
I hate that because I'm there to see the conflict between the hero and the villain. I want that off the bat, and The Dark Knight delivers tenfold.
Yeah.
Because you get an awesome score, which I watched a documentary on how Hans Zimmer made the score. Crazy. Really innovative. Like he took a piano wire and scratched a razor blade onto it. And that was like the intro music.
And that's the Joker's theme.
Yeah.
That's funny. But you know, I agree with you. Like I didn't know what to expect. I remember going to this movie. I didn't know what to expect what the opening was. Because if you remember in Batman Begins, it opens with Batman or Bruce Wayne.
Yes.
So yeah, you don't know what to expect at this point.
Yeah, and I like they made it seem very, very grand. And I like that. It didn't seem like intimate. Because I always thought Batman Begins every scene felt really intimate. It didn't seem like a large scale thing. Right
Yeah, it
off
seemed
the
like a lot
bat.
indoors. for
Yeah,
sure.
right off the bat you get skyscrapers and buildings and guys, getting picked up on the street and standing on top of buildings and zip lining across. Like it's
I know.
a
The way you
crazy
structure it. Oh,
different.
so good.
Like it's crazy different from Batman Begins to The Dark Knight.
Yeah.
And then you get the Joker being picked up. You don't know it's the Joker.
No.
And it's crazy how the scene works out. Like once he's done with them, and the theme kind of stands throughout the entire movie. Like once he's done with somebody, like he just kills them or he's just done with them.
Right.
So like as the guy gets the phones or the alarm disabled, he kills him. As the guy gets the vault open, he kills him. Kills the driver once he's inside the bank.
Yeah.
It's a great scene to show how brutal the Joker is. Like he's not fucking around.
Not only that, but I love how they never reveal it because when you're in the car, like at first when it pans to the Joker standing on the side of the street, like you're like, oh, that's the Joker. But then he gets in the car and they're talking about him,
Yeah.
and you know he got in the car without the mask off, so he wasn't wearing makeup. Which always, like, when did he have time to get the makeup on? Which was always my question, because like he has the makeup when he takes the mask off.
Are you
the,
sure
like,
he doesn't put it on right before he gets in the car?
Yeah, he doesn't.
Okay.
He doesn't. Yeah.
Maybe he did it from when he killed the vault guy.
He didn't kill the Vault guy. He was always in the lobby with the other guy, who then goes checks on that guy and kills him.
That's a continuity issue.
Yeah. So
I want to see a comic book of that scene that,
that
explains
it.
when he put his makeup on.
He's like, oh God, I probably should put this on.
It's getting to be that time.
Yeah. No, I absolutely love it. I love his like interaction, because he doesn't say anything between the other like main robber guy, I guess, where he's like, is he out of bullets? And he just nods his head, and then he gets shot. He's like, where'd you learn how to count? And then he like stands up with that fucking Uzi like pistol, that Uzi Glock.
Yeah.
With like the 100 clip of ammo. And he kills Johnny Drama's friend, who's the bank teller.
Yeah.
Yeah, when he shoots him, the guy like puts the gun to his head, and he's like, oh, you know, you're going to kill me. And then that's when we actually hear him speak, and we're like, oh shit, like now we know.
Yeah. I know when I waited a long time to see this movie when it came out, because I was one of those people who was like, Heath Ledger cannot play the Joker. There's no fucking way. And then I hear people talk about how good he was, and I was like, all right, I'll go see the movie. And then the opening scene like blew me away. Like, it was fucking crazy. And then you get the last part after the bus crashes in. He puts the grenade, like he rips a thread off of his jacket, and it's like the longest thread in the history of man.
Seriously.
Ties it to the
that's
grenade.
Such a Joker moment. That's such a Joker
It
moment.
is. It really is. Ties it to the grenade and then drives away into a convoy full of regular school buses.
Yeah, which again, I don't know about that, but
Yeah.
I liked it.
And then it's just like a smoke bomb. It's not even a real, like, that's another Joker nod where it's just like a trick.
Yeah, like he obviously couldn't leave like chattering teeth or something. Like,
Yeah.
they had to go like somewhat semi-serious, but at the same time not.
Yeah.
Dude, that movie is so perfect, because even like, I'm thinking of the whole movie, which is all awesome. The ending scene, Hans Zimmer score again, and Gary Oldman narrating or like Christian Bale saying like I'll do it, like I killed those people, and then he's telling all the stories like, you'll hunt me, and they show them like breaking the bat signal.
Yeah.
They show Fox typing in the keyboard that blows up the machine, and then you get this fucking drums. It's like dun 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 dun, and God, it's such a good end. Like, it gives me goosebumps every time Gary Oldman says, "A silent guardian, a watchful protector, a dark night," and we see like that behind shot where he's like moving up, and it's just like, oh God damn.
That is a perfect ending scene. Maybe we'll do endings at one point. But yeah, the score, I think me and you are the only people that get like really pumped up with scores.
Yeah.
It's like,
agree.
what am I'm about to fucking work out. I want to listen to Hans Zimmer. I want to listen to the Dark Knight theme. Like, that's what I want to do. So I was listening to the Dark Knight. I was actually listening to that exact song, the ending theme,
A Watchful Guardian. I know the track
while
name.
I was researching and while I was doing this shit. So
Nice.
I was getting
nice.
pumped up listening to that.
Oh yeah, like anything Hans Zimmer is like a treadmill song for me. Like the charge in the beginning of Gladiator, like the battle, where it's where he's like charging through like on horses, like through the forest. That gets me like full on sprinting, like Forrest Gump sprinting, and then I have it's all like Hans Zimmer, like like he's the hero we need or deserve, but not the one we need right now. So we'll hunt him, and it's like dun 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 dun, and I'm like 10 on the speed. I'm like just fucking just going hard.
They really need a treadmill app that works with your phone, so like it goes as fast as the music tempo goes. So like
Yes.
as soon as it kicks in the score, it's just like max. level. Max incline, max level.
Dude, super gains with a Z. All right, cool. Well, I'm glad we got those out of the way. I do have one last question for you though before we close things up. What's better? Opening credits immediately or cold opening with opening credits afterwards? And we can even throw in like no title screen at all where like the title screen ends at the end credits. But as far as opening, I'm going to give you those two options. Then maybe you could like mix and match.
I am a big fan of opening scene while the credits are going on. So like cut back and forth.
Okay.
If it's
So
done.
I'll go with open credits immediately then. That's kind of that,
Yeah.
that counts. Okay.
Yeah. I'm also, again, going back to my previous one, Thor Ragnarok. I love the cold opening of certain movies, and then all of a sudden it's just like, oh, here's the intro.
Yeah.
Like how they do in Ragnarok with the Bifrost sucker offer
Yeah.
thing.
Totally.
Yeah.
You know who else does that? Is Wicked Hot. They know how to do it, right?
We have like 3 intros.
Seriously.
We love intros a lot.
We do love intros. Intros are the best.
We could do a whole show just of intros, just a
We could.
whole intro themed show.
Intro show. We could. I got to go with cold opening on this one. I just love getting right into the action and then getting like, I'm even good with like getting in the action and then like kind of getting like how like TV is. Like there's an opening and then you have the opening credits
Yeah.
and then it's commercial break. That I hate. But but yeah, you get like credits, like a good like credits that aren't like part of like what's happening as a scene in the movie. I'm a big fan of.
Yeah. I like both. It has to be done really well.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Either way, it has to be done well. Yeah, I mean, I can't pick one or the other. It just has to be done well. Like Thor Ragnarok killed it with the cold opening.
Departed killed it.
Departed killed it with
18 minutes of cold opening.
yeah.
You know that, right? It's literally 18 minutes before we see the title card.
Really? Damn.
Yep. The longest opening of a movie ever.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Scorsese, man. God damn.
Pioneer.
Absolutely. All right, cool, guys. Well, thanks so much for sticking around. Again, if you have any of your favorite movie opening scenes, definitely let us know. Definitely, because there were so many again, like that just pop in our head, and we just didn't cover just because.
Yeah.
Like other ones just replace them, just on the flip of a coin. It's just that quick.
I'll probably think of a few while I'm sleeping tonight and be like, God damn, I should have talked about that one.
We should have talked about that one. Thanks again, guys, for listening. And if you could go ahead and leave us that 5-star rating on iTunes, that helps us out so much. And and we still have the Marvel t-shirts. I know Infinity Wars, the whole hype is over, but you could still get one for Ant-Man and the Wasp and obviously Infinity War for next year. Get them early.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, again, thanks, guys. We'll see you next week on the next episode of Wicked Hot.
Bye, everybody.